be getting all that going. But this is it. May 1st, the last week of classes for seniors. That's exciting. It's exciting. I know you've been waiting for this for like over a decade, a long time, that last week. So I'm excited for you. I remember that time in my life too, and it's scary and exciting all at the same time, but a lot more exciting than scary. Scary doesn't come till afterwards when you go, okay, now what? No, that's all fun stuff. All right, so let's talk about what the end of the year looks like here. All right, so looking at programming, seeing where we're at here on the grade screen. This week we have intrusion and cyber attacks. Seniors, you may notice that 704 and 7.07 are already excused. I've already gone in and excused those. You guys will not be responsible for those two lessons. Those are for the rest of us that will be here in the coming weeks. And then the segment 2 exam. Right now I've got a due date of May 8th on it, and that's just for you seniors. So if you are not exempt, the final will be released Friday, and it will be due Monday night at midnight. So you will have the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, at any point in there to take the final if you are not exempt. So exemptions will be going out Thursday. All week, all work is due. I got to have everything turned in by like Thursday at 6 a.m. if you want to be exempt. Because when I come in here Thursday morning, I've got to work hard and fast to get all the exemptions figured out, to see who got everything turned in. Remember, no more than 4 absences, no more than 4 absences in advisory, a grade of 75% or higher in this class, no missing assignments. So I'll be looking at all those things Thursday morning and sending out emails to let you know if you are exempt on the final. So if you are not exempt, that segment 2 exam, that is the semester final, will be released Friday morning and due on Monday. For the rest of you guys who are not seniors, don't worry. The final is not due next Monday. We got a couple more weeks to do first. So don't worry about it if you're not a senior. It's just for seniors that they will have the final at the end of this week. So let's look at these 2 assignments so you guys can get started on your May 1st here. Let's see, intrusion. Let's look at the 702, 703 lessons that go with that. The intrusion lesson. Intruder alert, intruder alert. All right, here we go. Intruder alert is any sort of forcible or illegal activity on a digital network. That's considered an intrusion, right? Somebody that is hacked in or somehow into someone's network. These unauthorized activities almost always jeopardize the safety of a network and a lot of times sensitive data. Intruder attacks range from mild to serious. Some attackers just like the thrill of getting in there, while others intend to do bad things, access, steal, disrupt. So here's some common examples. Website defacement. Sometimes some hackers like to get in there and change the website, right? It's got like spraying graffiti on a building. It's an attack on a website that changes its visual appearance. Unauthorized access. It's using an unattended logged in workstation without permission. Data exfiltration. You heard of infiltration. This is exfiltration. That's copying a database containing credit card numbers or other sensitive information. You're going there and copying the database and taking it out of the system, right? Data breach. That's viewing sensitive information like data that has payroll records, medical information, anything like that that you're not authorized to do. A packet sniffing. That's an interesting term, huh? Let's have a little sniff here. Running a packet sniffer on a network to capture unencrypted sensitive data. So all these interesting cyber terms. War dialing. Dialing into an unsecured modem and gaining internal network access. You guys aren't old enough to remember, but it used to be that's how we all accessed the internet. We actually had to use our phones in our homes. That's when you actually had a house phone instead of everyone having cell phones now. And you would hook up a modem to your house phone and it would dial, and on the other end, it would answer and connect your computer. Phishing. That's posing as an executive, calling the help desk, resetting the executive's email password, using a new password, right? Acting like you're someone else and gaining access in an unauthorized manner. And then password cracking, attempting to gain unauthorized access using common passwords or algorithms to guess someone's password. That's why you need to have good passwords, because there are algorithms out there that just go through and try to guess them. All right, let's look at the next page. 3 types of intruders. The masquerader is the number one. Not all intruders are the same. They're not all hackers. But let's look at the 3 different kinds here. Masquerader, it does not have authorized computer access, but penetrates a system's controls to exploit a legitimate user's account, right? Masquerades as a legitimate user. For example, if an official user inadvertently leaves the computer open, a coworker or passerby may act like a masquerade attacker. Oh, the computer's open, they'll just sit down and start using the computer. Likely to be an outsider. A misfeasor, a legitimate user who accesses programs, information, or resources for which access is not authorized. See, that's someone that's in the system, but they're getting into places they're not supposed to be at. They're an authorized user and misuse access privileges, also called a misfeasor. That's an insider. Or a clandestine user. They seize control of the system and use this to evade audit logs and access controls or suppress audit collection. That can be either insider or outsider, but they basically just got to take over the network. So, how well do you know intruders? Check your knowledge. So here you go. Move each characteristic to the intruder it describes. So what's a user who is authorized for access but misuses their privileges? Well, we read above that is a misfeasor, right? Will penetrate a system's control to gain access to user accounts. Well, let's see. You seizes control of the system, and this one doesn't have authorized, but they penetrate system control to exploit a legitimate user's account. There it is right there, is masquerader. And this is seizing control in order to evade auditing and access stuff. An authentic user who access resources for which is not authorized. That would be misfeasor. Could be an outsider or an insider, clandestine. Someone who's likely an outsider without authorized, outsider without access there, masquerader. So, all right. We'll turn it in. Great work. We're learning a lot. All right. Let's move to page 3. How hackers roll. Various names are often used to describe those who can defeat computer security systems. Hacker and intruder are both terms for individuals who have the skills to gain unauthorized access. But they're not all the same. Long ago, not too long ago, hacker was a neutral term for a skilled computer user. Hey, you must be a hacker. You're pretty good on that computer. But it evolved to someone that's doing stuff illegally or maliciously on systems. So here's different types of hackers. A white hat hacker. These are considered the good guys of cybersecurity. They are hired by the company to hack their own system. They have permission to gain access to restricted networks with the intent of finding flaws. Like, how did you get in there? They try to access the system not through the normal channels, not using a regular login password, and then tell the company, hey, here's how I got into your system, so you need to fix this. So white hat hackers, the only ones who operate legally and ethically, right? So all the others could face legal consequences. So if you want to be a hacker, go get hired by a company to hack their network to show them where their security flaws are. Black hat hackers. This goes back to the old Western days where the white hat cowboys were the good cowboys and the black hat ones were the bad cowboys in the old Western movies. These type of hackers attempt to gain unauthorized access in the systems or networks for malicious reasons. They inflict damage. They compromise security systems and change the functions of websites. Gray hat hackers. All right. Sometimes hacking's not totally black and white. Gray hat hackers try to gain access to networks and computer systems in the same ways that black hat hackers do, but not necessarily with malicious intent. Their goal is to disclose all the loopholes and vulnerabilities to law enforcement or other agencies. It's usually done with the intent to protect, but it's still illegal because they're not doing it with the permission. They weren't hired by that company to break into the system. They're just doing it and then telling them, hey, I broke into your system and here's how I did it. So they got good intent, but they did it illegally. Sometimes they've been known to demand money. I found this hole in there. I got into your system, so pay me some money or I won't tell you how I did it. Then that certainly makes it illegal. Blue hat hackers. These are typically out for revenge. They can be malicious, but usually that anger is just directed at one person or one company. But they usually seek revenge for some type of wrong. Blue hats are typically new to hacking. They decided to be hackers when they got mad. So, did you know? Here you go. Here's a new term for you: a hacktivist. Hacktivist. Someone who uses hacking to bring about some kind of political or social change. Hacktivist groups attempt to get confidential information so they can promote their political agenda, and they often target media, financial, and political groups. Hacktivists might attempt to gather and release sensitive information or to deface websites. You might have heard of groups like Anonymous. Anonymous has been around for a long time. WikiLeaks or Lulzsec. I'm not familiar with that last one. Lulzsec. Anonymous is a well-known hacktivist group made of many individuals with no known central command structure. Their first widely known operation was an attack against the Church of Scientology 15 years ago, back in 2008. The mission was to take the organization's website offline and disrupt their communications. It was started in response to the Church of Scientology's attempt to remove material from a highly publicized interview with Scientologist Tom Cruise from the internet in January 2008. So Church of Scientology were trying to hide some of their stuff that was released in an interview. And so this anonymous group kind of retaliated. All right, let's look at page 4. The cyber kill chain. This is a series of steps that traces the stages of a cyber attack, from the early stages to the theft of some sensitive data. The kill chain helps a cybersecurity professional understand and win the battle on ransomware, security breaches, and advanced persistent attacks. So let's look at the stages. Number 1, planning and scoping. In this stage, the attacker determines what method they're going to use. All right, so reconnaissance and discovery is number 2. That's where the hacker discovers what there is to know about a target and figures out what security that he's going to have to overcome. 3 is the weaponization. The attacker uses an exploit to gain access. Let's click on the exploit. That's a code that takes advantage of a software vulnerability or a security flaw. It's called an exploit code. All right, post-exploitation, lateral discovery, and spread. The attacker performs a deeper network scan with the intention to discover more info about the network and uses that to identify assets of interest. Number 5 is action on objectives. Here they use the access gained to secretly copy information. And then the last one's retreat. Once the attackers achieve their goal without being detected, they can either maintain an advanced persistent threat, APT, or they can back out of the network. They usually remove any trace that they were there to help prevent attempts to figure out where they came from. So one doesn't just accidentally penetrate a network. You just don't hack by accident. There's a lot of thought going into an attack, from planning to intruding, leaving without detective. They're almost always planned and very deliberate. All right, last page of this lesson. The dark web. All right, the internet's made of 3 layers: the surface web, the deep web, and the dark web. You hear the dark web. Let's talk about it. So the surface web, that's the top layer. That's what we commonly use to access our news, our banking, entertainment. This is where you commonly go. These sites show up on search engines. This is where you spend most of your time, right? Surface web. The deep web is the next layer. This is information that cannot be found using a search engine. These sites are hidden and usually password protected. For example, online banking, draft blog posts, corporate virtual private networks are all part of the deep web. And then there's the dark web. This is the deepest layer. It's a network of untraceable activity on the internet. Typically, you have to have some special software to gain access to the dark web. And navigating the dark web requires direction because everything's hidden. You can't just Google search something on the dark web. You have to know more. You got to people that tell you where to find sites and different things like that for the dark web. Cyber criminals rely on exchanging information with each other using web pages not indexed by search engines. Indexed is the process in which search engines organize information before the search happens so they can get a fast response. So these type of services provide cyber criminals with methods to securely exchange their information. They're often used for hiding illegal activity like fraud, terrorism, extremism, black markets. And understanding what these sites are and investigating them, that's an important source of counterintelligence. Let's click that. That's activities designed to prevent or thwart spying, intelligence gathering, and sabotage. All right. Since the dark web provides anonymity, cyber criminals enjoy the ability to share information without fear of being uncovered. But it also allows investigators to more easily infiltrate whenever they discover stolen data, because you can't tell it's an investigator a lot of times, or even newly developed hacking tools. Cybersecurity professionals must continuously monitor security intelligence websites, blogs, and news groups. So check out these examples of threat intelligence feed providers. Symantec. If we click on that, it'll take you to Symantec's website. So this is a Symantec vulnerability response guidelines page. There are 4 things. So I'll leave those. You can click and look at all these. Microsoft has theirs. Dark Reading, SANS, check those out. So here's something interesting. The dark web was actually created by the U.S. government to allow spies to exchange information safely and anonymously. U.S. military researchers developed the technology known as Tor, the Onion Router, T-O-R, the Onion Router, in the mid-1990s, and they released it to the public domain for everyone to use. So the government responsible for the dark web. All right. Here's our assignment. We read this and then take the next quiz. We'll look at the quiz real quick before we look at our second lesson. Here we go. Which type of intrusion involves an attacker logging into an unsecure modem gaining internal access? So you have 5 questions. Why was the dark web originally created? We just read that. What hacker might be paid by a government agency? So, all right. So there are your 5 questions. Let's look at our second lesson. Cyber attacks. What's the difference between a passive and active attack? Some cyber criminals quietly attempt to gain access to valuable information like your credit card numbers, your usernames, your passwords. These are known as passive attacks because they don't leave a trace they were even there. Others seek to cause havoc by seizing and destroying vital system resources. How can we recognize active versus passive? We'll see an active attack. During that, hackers have unauthorized access to private information, and usually the victims are immediately aware of the attack. So how do they do it? See, these attacks might involve viruses or malware, denial of service, password cracking. They might even seek a ransom or want revenge from being fired from a job. You hear about that from time to time, and it happens more than we know because a lot of businesses don't let you know because they don't want to ruin their reputation, but they get hacked and someone has control of their system. They say, pay us $1 million and you can have your computer system back. And if they don't have good backups and good cybersecurity and backed up all their data, a lot of times they're having to pay that money because they don't even know where the hacker is usually. And a lot of times they're overseas. So to get their system back and get back control, they got to pay that money. Then they got to spend a lot of money in cybersecurity because what stops the person from turning around doing it again next week, right? All right, passive attacks tend to be more subtle. The criminals gain access to confidential information, avoiding detection for as long as possible. The victim may not know that for a long time. And from there, they typically sell the information on the dark web. So there's a lot of people's information being sold all the time. Passive attackers use untraceable accounts or public workstations with false credentials to cover their tracks. Some sophisticated attackers use internet service providers that specialize in offering anonymity to their users. So there are those service providers that help you be anonymous out there. Here you go. Did you know script kiddies? A script kiddie is someone who uses hacker tools but doesn't really know what they're doing. And there's a lot of those out there too. Script kiddie attacks might not have a specific target or goal except to get attention. It's like you're acting like a 7-year-old out here trying to hack things. Technology has made it easier for script kiddies to get sophisticated tools capable of exploiting system vulnerabilities. This means even script kiddies can launch sophisticated cyber attacks because they can get the information out there on how to do it. It's important to remember that script kiddies can get into just as much trouble as a seasoned cyber criminal. Everybody starts somewhere, I guess. All right. Insider versus outsider threats. Potential security threats lurk around every corner. The security professional's job is to recognize and halt all threats. So let's look at the difference between inside and outside threats. Insider threats come from within an organization. That's pretty obvious. Outsider threats are from those not associated with the organization. All right, so the source. Insider threats include negligent or criminal employees. They can also include business partners or former employees that still have access to the system. Outsider threats come from cyber criminals, competitors, hacktivists. What's their motive? Insiders are motivated by financial gain or often personal revenge. Outsiders are motivated by financial gain or the thrill of just wreaking havoc. They want to be a butt. So, methods: insiders take advantage of employees who forgot to log out, or they use credentials to obtain private information. So, yeah, if you work in a big office and you don't log out and walk away from your computer, someone may sit down at your computer and do some bad things that you're going to have to prove wasn't you. Outsiders use social engineering, electronic data theft, DDoS attacks, which is denial of service, and malware. All right, page 3. Do you know the difference between a passive and active attack? There you go. Test your knowledge. Try your hand at comparing. Let's do a couple of these. And passive attacker leaves behind a trail. No, they usually don't want you to know they've been there. Correct. Look at number 2. An outside attacker already has access to company resources. Now that's usually not true, because the outside attacker's got to figure out how to get in there. The insider usually already has access, so they typically don't have it from the outside. An insider attack could come from a current or past employee who has access. Well, absolutely. That would define it for sure. And the last question: active attacks tend to involve viruses, malware, denial of service, or password cracking. Yes, an active attack, they are going to try to disrupt everything. So that is true. All right. Page 4. Almost done here. Everything is a risk. Discover how hardware, software, data, and networks are all susceptible. So software, it's often the number one target. It's critical to perform routine software updates, install security patches on your systems. Criminals will hijack outdated applications. That's usually why updates come, because they found a way that hackers can get in the system. So they write an update and send it out there so you can update your computer. And if you don't do those updates, then those hackers will often get into those loopholes and steal data or cause damage. Could be internet browsers, outdated antivirus software, just general applications, operating systems, all kinds of stuff. Let's look at hardware. Software is targeted the most. Hardware is also vulnerable. Older PCs, laptops, and notebooks don't have built-in security features. The older ones, they might not have the latest firmware or self-encrypting hard drives installed. These features don't prevent threats and attacks 100% of the time, but they do improve the security of business and personal computers. So examples include central processing units like CPUs, random access memory, or hard drives. There's ways to get in through that. So, all right, let's look at page 5. The CIA triad. Data protection, serious business. What can be done to make sure businesses and organizations have proper safeguards? You might have heard about the CIA triad. CIA stands for confidential, integrity, and availability. The CIA triad is a security resource created for businesses and organizations to guide their IT security practices. So this does not have anything to do with the Central Intelligence Agency. That's the government CIA. All right, let's select the parts to learn more about the CIA triad. Availability. That ensures the data is available and accessible to satisfy business needs. Focuses on the basic hardware, allowing other areas of online security run smoothly without interruption. Confidentiality. That's a set of rules limiting access to certain information. That prevents sensitive information from getting in the wrong hands. Integrity ensures that online information is trustworthy and accurate. Any data that moves around the internet can be changed and can cause problems for those who depend on it being reliable. So that's the 3 different pieces of the information security. What's this up here? Directions and tech versions. All right. Last page of our lesson right here. Implementing the CIA triage. Confidentiality. That protects information through the use of passwords, account numbers, verification codes, other precautionary methods, verification codes. There are several ways to ensure the confidentiality of data. However, the most widely used method is cryptography. Cryptography. That's been around for hundreds of years. Let's click the definition. The study of secure communication techniques that allow only the sender and intended recipient of a message to view its contents. That's like making secret code when you code your messages to your buddy. In fact, the Pigpen cipher has been used to encrypt secret messages throughout history. In its most basic form, plain text is converted into ciphertext, which is unreadable for humans. Here it says, try it for yourself. So if you click this, can you decode the message using the cipher key? Here's an encrypted message. See, it's not even letters. Not even letters. And here's the Pigpen cipher. So let's look at this. It'll open up larger. The Pigpen cipher contains characters representing the message that can be translated using the Pigpen cipher key. There are 4 words in this message. The word 1 is the left quadrant of X-shaped figure with a dot. Word 2 is the square showing right, bottom, and top sides. The dot in the middle, the square showing right and bottom side. Square. Okay, so it breaks it out and tells you this is the first word, that's the second word, that's the third word, that's the fourth word. And here is how you decode that. So I would assume, I've not used the Pigpen cipher, since this is this right here, that would put us either T or X. Well, there's a dot in it, which kind of leads us to think it might be the X. Let's click this and see what it tells us. In area 1, letters A through I are organized in a 3x3 grid. Each letter is in a square with different sides of the square, showing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Okay, this one has a dot in each square, and these are organized in an X. So that's how all 26 letters of the alphabet are divided up. So it looks like the first one would be the X. This says a dot and the square that looks like this. So that would be an M. M-A, let's see, that would be the R, M-A-R. See, this is the U with the dot is a K. And then the V-S. So marks, some of the marks. Let's look at the answer here. X marks the spot. We were on the right track there. X marks the spot. So pretty neat. You can play around with this Pigpen cipher. It's been around for a long time. All right, so that is the end of the lesson. I wonder if they give us a Pigpen cipher problem. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5 questions. You don't have to decipher anything from Pigpen. There we go. We looked at it. So, all right. That is our lessons. And for seniors, that's your last lessons in programming this year. So if you are missing anything, especially seniors, get it turned in right away. Just give you the senior schedule. You know, you have the finals that are due Monday. Senior grades, I have to enter those next Tuesday. That's it. They're done next Tuesday. So anything you're missing, if you get in by Thursday, you can possibly be exempt. So if anything missing, get it in by Thursday. But even if you don't get in by Thursday, you know, you can still turn in stuff over the weekend just for your grade. I'll go ahead and take that until Monday because I don't have to have your grades in until Tuesday. So you can still turn work in until Monday for a grade. Turned in by Thursday morning to 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. Either one. I don't get here till 7. So turn in by 7 a.m. Thursday if you're looking to be exempt from the final. But anyway. All right. 2 lessons. Those of you who aren't seniors, I will see you again. Oh, that's wrong. This is an A day. This is an A day. I will fix that. A day. So if your grade is below 70, I will see you Wednesday and Friday unless you get your grade up. So, all right. I'll let you guys go. We will see you next time. Or seniors, if I don't see you again, you rock.